Welcome to the Reify Online Learning Hub. In this lesson, we'll show you how easy it is to use Reify workflows to create complex business logic. So let's get started. We've already created a simple order entry application for you so that we could just focus on learning how to use the workflows. In this application, a customer's order consists of general information about the order, like which customer made the order and the order date, called the order header, which is stored in the order data source. Specific information about which product or products were ordered, stored as records in the order line data source, as one record per product ordered. Our application has a form that uses the order data source and a list grid that is bound to the related order line data source. We've made the list grid editable, and we've turned off the auto fetch data property so that the grid won't automatically populate the data. Finally, we've added two buttons, one button to Save Order Header and a Save Order Line button, which is initially disabled. So let's start with a simple workflow on the Save Order Header button. When we save the order header, we also have to get the grid ready to accept order lines and take care of other details, like enabling buttons. That's why we need the workflow system. Click on the Save Order Header button to select it. Then click on the Events tab to show all of the basic events for the Save Order Header button. Against the click event, click on the action icon, and from the menu that's displayed, click Workflow. This is the workflow editor. The first thing we want to do is save the record in our forms. Select Save Data under the Form Tasks section. The target component is the component that will save data to the data source. As there is only one form in the screen, it's already selected. We want to keep the order details in the form after the save so the user can go on to enter order lines. So we'll uncheck the Clear Form Values After Save box. Then click OK to save this task. After saving the record, we now want to create a new blank order line in the grid so the user can start entering the items for the order. You'll notice a blank Next task has been auto-created for us. So in this task, click on Pick a Task, and this time select the Edit Record task under the Grid Tasks section. The target of our action is the order line grid, which is already selected. So we'll leave this as the target, but we want to add a new record to our list grid. So click the radio button to change to Edit New Record. All the order lines created here should be directly associated with the order in the form above. So we need to pre-populate the order number on the grid from the order in the form. To do this, drag the order number from the order form section to the order number. Click OK to save this task. Then click the Save button to save this workflow. Okay, great! This simple workflow is ready to go. So let's preview our screen to see how it works. First, we need to pick a customer for our order, so click on the Customer dropdown. Let's use the Customer Mini Gifts Distributors Limited from the list of values. Then click the Save Order Header button. The workflow was triggered when you clicked on the Save button. The data in the order form was saved, and a new order line row was added. Notice how the order number was populated into the field on the order line, and how it matches the order number in the header above. All of these actions occurred from the workflow you created. This is just a simple example of using workflows. So let's create a more complex workflow. Close the preview to return to the main Reify screen. Our new workflow will have multiple steps to check that a product is in stock before allowing the user to save an order line. The flow will firstly make a server call to check the quantity in stock in the product data source. Then we'll compare the quantity returned against the quantity being ordered on the line to decide if the user can proceed with saving the line or if an error should be raised notifying the user that the amount is not in stock. So let's set that up. In the component tree, click on the plus icon in the order line grid to expand it so we can see the individual fields. Then click on the Quantity Ordered field. On first access, you'll always see a list of the most commonly used events, but for most components, there are usually more event options available. To see all the events for the grid field, click on the More button. For our case, we want to check that there's enough quantity in stock to cover what the user is ordering before allowing the order line to be saved. To check whether the item is in stock, we'll first need to retrieve the record from the product data source, which is where we store quantities available in the warehouse. Since we want our flow to be triggered when the user exits the quantity field, we'll use the Editor Exit event. So click on the action icon on that event and select Workflow. The first step of the flow will fetch the data from the server for the product on the order line. From the tasks list of values, under Data Source Tasks, choose Fetch. Next, we'll make a server call to fetch the data from the product data source. So click on the DataSource dropdown and select Product from the DataSource list of values. We'll now set this up to fetch the data for the product used in our order line. Leave the field Product Code as it is, and click on the Operators dropdown and change the value from Contains to Equals. The product we want to fetch is the one from the order line the user is in the middle of editing. Click on the gear icon to select this as a dynamic value. The order line fields contain the values from whatever the active order line record is, the one currently being edited, or if no editing is going on, the one selected in a list grid or displayed in a detail grid. So type Product in the search bar. From the displayed order line fields, double-click Product to get the product from the order line record the user is in the midst of editing. Then click OK to save the task. Next, we need to make a decision about what to do next, as our workflow will do two different things based on whether the quantity ordered is in stock or not. Let's start by clicking on the Pick a Task dropdown in the Auto-Created New Task, and in the Decision section, select Decision. We want to make this decision based on the quantity in stock that is stored in the record from the product data source. So click on Choose a Field. Now select Quantity in Stock under the Last Task Output, DS Fetch Task Fields. Next, click on the Operator field dropdown and select Greater than or equal to from the list of values. We need to compare the quantity in stock stored in the product record to the dynamic value the user has just entered in the order line. So to do this, click on the gear icon to use a dynamic value. Type Ordered in the search bar, and under the Order Line field section, double-click on Quantity Ordered. Finally, click OK to save the task. Notice how our workflow now forks into two possible flows? If the ordered quantity is less than or equal to the amount in stock, one flow will occur, and if not, the other will. Let's start with the order quantity being available. That will be the flow that continues straight along from our other tasks. Click on Pick a Task and select the Enable/Disable task in the Widget Tasks section. Choose the Save Order Line button as the target component. If we have enough quantity in stock, the Save Order Line button should be enabled so the order line can be saved. So let's set this by clicking on the Enabled Radio button, then click OK to save the task. Now let's add workflow for what happens if there isn't enough quantity in stock. Click on Pick a Task, then select Show Message under the Widget Tasks section. We want to notify the user that the product isn't available. So let's just keep it simple by just typing Out of Stock in the message field. Then click OK to save the task. Finally, click Save to save your workflow. We'll use the preview mode again to test the screen and workflows we built. As we did before in the order form, click on the Customer dropdown and select Customer Mini Gift Distributors Limited, then click Save Order Header. Now in the newly created order line, click on the Product dropdown and choose the product 1969 Harley-Davidson Ultimate Chopper from the list of values. To show the out-of-stock error, let's add a large quantity here of 8,000 in the Quantity Ordered field and tab out of the field so that the Editor Exit event fires. Notice how our error message is displayed. Just click OK to remove it. Go back to our Quantity Ordered field to change the quantity to 1,000. And because we have that number in stock, notice how the Save Order Line button is enabled. So to recap, without writing a single line of code, you created an application that calls the server with criteria to get relevant data, then decides how to proceed based on the result of that server call. This is just a small sample of the power of Reify workflows. The workflow system has an extensive and flexible range of available tasks, which you can combine in a visual and intuitive manner. Just imagine all the functionality you can build. Congratulations, you completed the tutorial. Reify is a new kind of low-code platform, one you can use on every project, not just for the simple ones. Reify is a radically faster, radically better way to work. Try Reify today for free.